Welcome back to the Summer of Turdtowns. This is the show which brings you the lesser known places in the UK. For good, but usually for bad reasons. And today it's going to be some more of those bad reasons, although it wasn't all bad because the surrounding areas of here were 10 out of 10. Today we're off to Anglesey and Gwynedd, right at the top of Wales. I want to be deadly clear before we start this one. Whilst the towns you're about to see are bad, I don't want that to put any of you off from visiting the area. It's truly some of the best scenery in the UK, I was really impressed. Now I've been catching a lot of strays in the comments section recently and I can admit that Irvine in Scotland, I walked straight into that calling it Irvine. I did make an assumption. But I've been determined to put that right and I don't want to disrespect the Welsh language with it being my favourite country. This isn't going to be easy for me, so please go easy on me. But a fact is a fact and I suck at pronunciations. I'm going to try my best, but fortunately today, I'll have help this time. Number 7.
Amlwch.
Thank you to my assistant, Barry from Birkenhead. I may catch some hate for this one, and let me be clear, I didn't actually hate this town. This one's situated on the north coast of Anglesey with a population of 3,147. For many a year, this has been the favourite spot for Scousers to take their holiday. I'm surprised they can make it here because the drive along the A road is one of the most tedious of all time. The speed limit skips between 20 and national seemingly at will. No sooner have you slowed down, you need to speed back up again. When you eventually make it here, it feels like you've walked onto the set from that BBC show Survivors from ages ago that got cancelled. There's just nobody here. I'm not sure when the Scouse summer holidays start, seeing as they aren't exactly known for their education, but there was just nothing and no one here. The bunting across the main street did little to lift my mood, and I was concerned about what I'd stumbled into. This was once the second largest town in Wales with over 10,000 people living here. When the copper mines declined, they moved on to shipbuilding. When that declined, they moved on to tourism. And when that declined, they moved on to the no, just kidding. But life does go a bit like that sometimes. It must be hard relying on tourism when you're so far out of the way and there's plenty of other nice places around here to visit. Houses are surprisingly cheap here considering how nice the island is, at only 151,000. But just bear in mind, there aren't many jobs here, so maybe it's better for a sort of retirement situation. Amlwch doesn't have a proper beach, but the area itself is stunning and I highly recommend it. It's very near the most northerly point of Wales too. It is great for a holiday where you can just sit around and do nothing. Just don't expect to do nothing quickly. Number 6.
Penarth.
That's right, Tom from Tallysan, Gross is certainly right. Only messing with you. This village has a population of 1,793. The name in Welsh basically translates to end of the roads, certainly the end of something. This is a former slate mining village. Very fitting with any video I make about Wales, a mining place must feature. The biggest employer in the village used to be a toilet paper factory. And when that closed, the village was flushed down the bog pretty quickly. It's a place which seems to have suffered since the bypass was built. It's funny, I see a lot of that, but everyone's all for it at the time. What is the solution to getting people into your community without jamming up the roads too bad? There's just nothing here now. It's a miserable isolated existence without having some of the beauty of the other places on this list. I don't think it even had a pub, which is normally the beating heart of any isolated community. It certainly had the least going for it out of today's list. The house prices might not seem like much to some, but they are much higher than I actually expected at 141,000. What I do like about the place is that it contains some of the highest proportions of Welsh speakers in the country at 88%. This can feel daunting and unwelcoming to outsiders, but remember, this is their country and it's great to see their languages being preserved so well here. I usually like to keep these videos light-hearted, but it's not often a place like Penarth makes national news, and it did last year when it turned out that the head teacher of the secondary school had been abusing some of the girls, and although he is rightfully now jailed, 4 members of staff who could have investigated him and caught him out sooner, but decided not to, are still employed by the council. He was also at Bangor school. Lot of disgusting stories like this about in the news all over the UK right now, isn't there? When one lady from outside the community moved into a former pub, Her garage door was graffitied with a well-known hate symbol. To be fair, she took it like a champion. Anyway, give Penarth a miss. It's the sort of place you'll drive through but won't get out for a piss. Number 5.
Llangefni.
Thank you to David from... Oh god, here goes nothing. Llanfar, Porth Gwyn, go Gwyn, Job of Llan, Cecilio go. This once proud market town has a population of 5,261. This one's a bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, you've got some really cool grand buildings, but on the other hand, most of them are derelict. What happened here? Technically, it's the county town for the island, so you'd expect a bit better. Lots of the old traditional buildings have been replaced with colourful Lego constructions. It's great that it's got some new investment here, but it's a shame the designs have to be so jarring and repulsive. The roads through are incredibly busy. It's one of those places where trying to cross the road without traffic light is impossible. I guess everyone from the island converges on here all at once in one giant turd lump. It does have an Asda though. I find this offensive to the memories of those who died in World War I having their memories besmirched like this. All over the town you can find a disused railway line, but it's not being preserved in a good way, it's just being left to rot like it's the 1970s. No cycle path or operating railway, so it's a giant waste of time to everyone involved. As you walk around the town, you move from one disaster to the next. Literally half the town is the biggest industrial estate I've ever seen with filthy grey cabins everywhere. The online review of this town says if you're English or not hard as nails, then don't come here. Well, I don't know about that, but I'm certainly a solid something. I was glared at here more than anywhere else though. So I walked out and walked, and it never got any better. I walked my way out the town, and I never returned. Number 4.
Bethesda.
Thank you, Thomas, a hotel owner from Bethesda. This market town with a population of 3,755 was a real shocker to me. The reason for my surprise is that it's essentially the gateway to Snowdonia. The surrounding mountains are everywhere, and it's a paradise as long as you don't look at Bethesda directly. If you've been to the national park, you've most likely been here, as the main A road passes straight through. This should be a town where tourism thrives. It's only half an hour from the base of Mount Snowdon. Snowdonia National Park seems to get more popular year on year, welcoming 500,000 visitors last year. Instead, the A road through the town is one of the most unwelcoming places of all time. Closed down pubs, cafes and shops are everywhere. I've heard the sometimes valid criticism myself that I go looking for bad stuff to show, ignoring the good. Well, you can't throw that claim at me for this one, the whole street looks like this. Almost all of the people who live here live on the other side of the road up a very steep hill, further making daily life hard here. The houses are strewn about in an irregular manner with no rhyme or reason, except they built wherever they could. It's like the real life South Park. It's hard to put into words how much of a letdown this town is. Further along the road, the other towns and villages are using their position within the national park to grow from tourism. They feel exclusive and posh. Maybe the issue is that the town isn't even in the national park, it skirts right around it. But it should be an excellent base. There only seems to be 2 or 3 places to even sleep the night in the village. Perhaps offering a cheaper alternative to some of the more upmarket towns and villages could be the solution to get people spending their money here. There's plenty of buildings to choose from. It was reported last year that accommodation was 90% booked up in the national park for the summer holidays, so why wouldn't Bethesda want a piece of that pie? Maybe it's too obvious, or perhaps the decision makers are complete morons. If you feel the same way as I do, you can buy a house here for $182,000 and together we can turn this town's fortunes around. But for now, it's the darkest blip in Snowdonia, darker than the slate hills above it, a massive missed opportunity that has to be seen to be believed. The hills have eyes? Well, they certainly do round here. Number 3.
Bangor.
Thank you, Thomas, the taxi driver from Penarth. Bangor is the largest town. Actually, it's a city. Sure doesn't feel like one. The population is just 17,000. Yes, Bangor City is the 6th smallest city in the UK going by population size. Situated alongside water, it feels like this place would be a tourist heaven. Or hell, depending on which way you look at it. I thought it was going to be hell because of all I'd read online recently about how it was voted the worst seaside town in the UK. And whilst it's not exactly great, it's not exactly a traditional seaside town either. It's more of a hub for the local community. There aren't glistening white sandy beaches here, and that isn't really Bangor's fault. In a way, it's somewhat unfair to judge it alongside other tourist destinations. I actually thought it was very scenic here, whichever direction I chose to look in. The Grand University building towers over the town and there's plenty of green spaces. It's not all doom and gloom, but there is still certainly gloom here. The town centre is pretty much finished. Boots and CEX are the last two shops anyone would possibly want to use. There isn't even a single clothing shop. It's actually the longest high street in Wales, and this day and age that's like a noose around your neck. Who's ready for a speed run of another terrible mile? It doesn't help that it's so dark and dingy in here. Could they not afford the electricity bill? The ginormous modern but derelict Debenhams hangs over the town, a real lump which can't be wiped away. Again, that isn't Bangor's fault, but it doesn't look good. The high street is in fact so desolate that some criminals ran a drug farm out of one of the empty shops. And I'm just spitballing here now, but maybe they should have opened it up to the public? That would have got people back to the city centre for sure. The crime rate here is 102 in 1,000, which is pretty much what I expected. Drug use is apparently rife here, with many locals complaining to me about it. Much the same with any seaside town, isn't it? In 1880, the Victorians said the seaside was good for your health, and in 2025, the seaside turns you into a smackhead. The city square could be an attractive and pleasant area to spend time, but instead everything feels run down and almost eerie. Bangor's city centre has been killed off due to all the out-of-town shopping a couple of miles up the road. They just can't compete. There is almost entirely no evidence that you're even down by water, as there's no amusements, no cafes, no bars or any points of interest. Well, it does have a pier, which I stupidly managed to miss. It did look really cool though. Some communities can be tricky to fit into if you don't speak Welsh, so perhaps Bangor is a good place to move to in order to ease yourself in, as Bangor is surprisingly diverse in an area of Wales which rarely is. Statistics tell me it's 85% white. This is possibly due to the university of people looking to study in one of the prettiest parts of the UK. I don't normally like to highlight this sort of stuff, but it's a pretty interesting fact when North Wales is 97% white on the whole. Were you guys aware of this fact? I'm actually going to defend Bangor though in another aspect. There was building work going on everywhere, so it does seem like an effort is being made. Beautiful houses and buildings are dotted around the city, and there's a lot of potential. You can buy a house here for $209,000. On the flip side, it's also home to the third largest council estate in Wales. Cue trouble and chaos, and it's much like any other council estate, to be honest. I've seen worse. They've tried to hide it behind the Bangor Mountain, but we all know it's here, come on. But there's nothing to do around here at all though. Bangor is a city going through a transition and doesn't really know what it wants to be at the moment. Worst seaside town though? I feel like I've seen worse. Number 2. Thanks to Bryn from Bala town for that one. I struggle enough with one word, let alone two. This town, with a population of just 3,449, is somehow the 4th biggest place in Gwynedd. Wow, what a place. When I first entered, I was torn between calling this place incredible and the most depressing place I've ever visited. One thing's for sure though, there's no other town quite like it in the UK. As you walk around and stare up at the massive dark slate stacks towering over the town, it is one of the most emotive images I've ever seen. It feels like this town has been built in the middle of a quarry. Well, essentially, yeah. During the 1800s, it was the largest underground slate mine in the world. Shame it didn't stay underground. The population here rose to as much as 11,000 before the decline. Despite that, residents will be forever reminded due to the large waste slate stacks towering over the town. I've seen some idiots online asking if the council have removed the stacks yet. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Besides, I sort of like them. Makes the town unique. Sad, but unique. That's not the issue here. Nowadays, just the one quarry remains open for business. The Stiniog is situated smack bang in the middle of Snowdonia National Park, currently one of the most popular parks in the entire UK, but despite being central to the park, they want nothing to do with their Stiniog and drew a circle boundary around it and its slag heaps. It wants nothing to do with them, nor do I after this video. And who could blame them, because this town is a complete dump. Everything is closed down. I don't think I saw a single shop of any use except the small supermarket which probably put the rest of the shops out of business. A strange man was sat at the main bus stop screaming for my entire duration. I think he knew who I was, or maybe he was just fed up of living here. I don't know what he's complaining about anyway. The average house only costs $136,000, hardly worth screaming about. It certainly wasn't a rain dance, you certainly don't need that here, because it's the place in the whole of Wales which rains the most due to its location slap bang in the middle of the mountains. They even hold a rain festival annually, I'd love to see that. In its defence, it's decent for tourists here with the previously mentioned railway line running out of here, which you can ride down to Porthmadog, and it's incredibly scenic and spectacular, and Jesus Christ, it costs £50 per adult. It's only 13.5 miles, what are they powering these trains with to buy chocolate? To be fair, Snowdonia is a massive tourist trap. It also has exploration of the Slate Caverns, which features underground trampolines and zip lining. And above ground, you won't be short on things to do either. Just use your imagination, look where we are. I'll let you make your own minds up, because I know some people really like this place, but I just can't ignore how run down the town is. It's terrible. I am planning to release a longer video about this place in the next couple of days, because it is truly one of the most interesting places I've ever been to. Then together, we can all make our minds up. There was no making my mind up for number 1, though. Number 1. Holyhead. No, I'm not having someone pronounce it for me this time, but funny story, I actually grew up calling it Holyhead. When I learned that I was wrong, I was so embarrassed, I was like, I am taking this one today. Time to do the Welsh proud. Anyway, I pretty much hated it here. Next video. No, I know you're not going to let me off that easy. It's a port town with a population of 11,760. Holyhead mostly just exists because you can catch a ferry to Ireland from here. I believe it's the fastest current available ferry from the UK to Ireland at about 2 hours and 10 minutes. And that is pretty much the only reason anyone ever comes to Holyhead. But they don't really come to Holyhead, they're protected behind this big metal fence so the local yobs can't throw bricks at them. The port is the second busiest after Dover, and 12,000 lorries use it a day to make their deliveries to Ireland, and none of them spend a single pound in Holyhead. The town is actually not on Anglesey, it has its own separate small island called Holy Island. This place is one of the most westerly points of Wales, and it's a long way from the capital Cardiff, about 4.5 hours drive. It feels like an entirely different country, and none of that big city money has made its way up here. You actually used to be able to fly it, but that was axed in 2022. Walking around here, you get the sense that this town used to be much more important. Old infrastructure is crumbling around where the terminal and the train station meet the town centre. It's like they wanted passengers to use the town and then gave up when they realised that this would never succeed. It's a rough and ready kind of place where danger lurks around any corner. You have to be on your guard here. Statistically, Holyhead has the worst crime in the area by far, with a rate of 124 in 1,000. It doesn't sound like that much, but it is double the rest of the county. I'm not messing about, guys. The people here in Holyhead are seriously intimidating. Everywhere you look, it's the biggest reprobates of society. These greasy scroungers, they need to go back to their own country. This is an invasion. They can only truly be described as the boat people. From Ireland. Yeah, what were you expecting me to say? This is awkward. The town centre needs a bomb dropped on it. It's completely finished. It's over. The worst town centre I've ever seen for a town this size. You can walk it in about 2 minutes. There was nothing here but a couple of pubs and one newsagent. I was in shock, and a local laughed at me when I asked where the actual centre was. He said, "You're standing in it." As I looked down at my shoe and comprehended my life choices, I decided never to come back to Holyhead again. I'd rather be stood in dog turd. It appears that a big out-of-town shopping centre has completely killed off the high street. Nothing in the town feels new or looked after. It all looks like it's left over from the 80s. Go on Google Street View right now and look at the oldest date they have. There, you've been to Holyhead. It's still exactly the same. How is that ferry line not bringing a penny into this town? The average house price is just 75,000, which doesn't really surprise me one bit, but it's still an incredibly low figure. I didn't see a single luxury house whilst I was here, and yeah, I know they do exist on the island away from the town. But the town itself, not good. There are plans here for a massive redevelopment around the waterfront to build 259 townhouses and apartments, which Holyhead residents are going to have no chance of ever affording. I bet they don't even call the development Holyhead. It'll be called something else because that would be too off-putting for potential buyers. They are also trying to regenerate the town centre, but the plans are unclear. They'll probably just put up some stupid sculpture or something. They've also done some pedestrianising here, but without decent shops and pubs, which don't look like you're going to get a bottle lobbed at you just for walking through the door, it's all pointless. It's so frustrating seeing the out-of-town business park, and now they're going to spend millions on the town centre, even though it's too late. They were the ones that killed the town centre, and now they're going to waste more money trying to bring it back. It's about time the people in power are held accountable for wasting this money. Holyhead is run down, dreary, everything is grey, it's dog rough, terrible town centre, outdated infrastructure, miles from anywhere, nothing to see, nothing to do, and this place is far from holy, it is a living hell. And that's the list. Did we miss anywhere out? Make sure to slaughter me down in the comments for my pronunciations. Where should we go next, or should I just go home? Whatever you think, please do me a massive solid and help me to hit 100k subscribers by hitting like, share and subscribe to help Turdtowns thrive. You know, one day we'll get Turdtowns Island done, but for now I just can't afford it, sadly. But that's been a dream for a while now. I'd love to make that happen. I'm fighting every urge of my body not to raid the last bit of my savings to get this done. We've got a lot of business to attend to in Wales and England still, though, haven't we?